Hi, my name is Linda. Today I'll be doing a demonstration speech. I want to thank my audience for being with me today. Audience.
Hi.
Thank you once again for helping me to do my presentation. I want to do a presentation on quilting. It'll be hand quilting. There's several different ways you can do hand quilting. I chose to show you a couple of ways. One would be by block quilting, and this would be cutting small blocks and putting them together to create a quilt, either front and or back. Or you can just choose a solid pattern to create your quilt. Before you start quilting, there's a few things that you would need. You would need to do your hand needles. You would need to choose the thread that would be appropriate for the fabric that you would have. If you choose to put any designs on your quilt, at the end you would have to have the lacing for the edge if you choose to do that, or you would have to have ribbons or whatever you would choose to add decoration to. First, I want to show you with the quilting, hand quilting with making squares. You would just cut individual squares, place them face to face, and then just sew. This can be done by hand or by machine. I've chosen to do this one by machine. And once you've attached so many squares together, then you would turn them face to face, and you would attach those pieces together, and you would come out with the finished product that looks like this. You will continue this process until you get to the size that you're wanting your quilt to be. And you can do that either for a baby quilt or a quilt for a single bed or even a king or queen size bed. If you choose not to do a quilting pattern as that, you can choose a pattern like this. This is something that my granddaughter loves, Rapunzel. So you can choose a pattern like this. I choose all my fabric from just scraps. So I find the smaller remnants of fabric, and I choose those to make my quilts with, or my baby quilts with. Choose that fabric, and you choose if you're going to have the same color front and back, or if you have a different color. Once you've made your choice of your fabric, then you would take your choice for your front, your choice for your back, and you would put those together. If you want a thicker quilt, you would choose a batting according to the weight that you want to put on the inside. I've chosen to put these two together. Now I will be hand stitching this quilt, and because I'm going to be putting a lace around the outside, I've already put the front and back the way I would want it to be. The only thing I would do now would be to trim these edges down and to sew on my lace to complete my quilt. Once I've done that, I go through and check the quilt to make sure that I have all my pins out, everything is in its place. During the process, I check the sizing to make sure that when I cut, I have the right size cut. Otherwise, I'd have to start over again. But we put all the pieces together, and we create that design. This would be a finished product of what it would be like for a hand quilt. This one I've been making by hand. I usually take my time. These are my, when I have the time, type of projects that I do. This quilt is done all by hand. I've chosen not to put any batting inside just to make it a lightweight quilt. They're both the same on both sides, would be poo. And for my decoration for this type of a quilt, I've chosen small ribbons. And these small ribbons I would tack on in a certain spot. I would tie them into knots, creating the bow effect that is here. And that's going to be the finishing product of this quilt, because I'm not going to put any edging or lacing on the quilt. I'll just have this to be my finished product. So this would be the front side of the quilt with ribbons, and this would be the underside or the back side without ribbons. And this would conclude my demonstration for hand quilting or making handmade quilts. Thank you again to my audience. I appreciate your participation.